welcome back to another episode of Market in Darkness. I'm Darian Wigfall. Jelani Buchanan here, your co-host with me. We're actually going to talk about a new book today. If you're not familiar with what Market in Darkness is, go back to the first episode. I really get into what that means, but I really feel like the market is in darkness right now, so I'm just going to go with that piece of it. But yeah, we talk about a lot of marketing tools that we read, that we build, that we see and use in our own businesses. I have multiple businesses that I run, so does Jelani. So today we're going to get into expert secrets. We've been discussing .com secrets for the past couple episodes, and this is the second book in that series. So like there's a trilogy by Russell Brunson that we are using in our business to make systemic and repeatable income. So predictable income is really what I want to say there. So if you pick up these books, I'm an affiliate for them. You can get them through me. If you pick up these books, like Jelani says in his unboxing video, it is going to help you. If you're a business owner, it's going to get your thing going, period. I can't, like, the knowledge in these books has paid for itself multiple times over already.
Several fold,
mm-hmm. Because mine's worth $20 retail, and Jelani's is 27. His is updated. I've made, and this is a trilogy, so I bought all these. I actually got all these for free, which you can also do plus shipping. So I literally only paid shipping, which I think then was $7.95. Mm-hmm. It's $9.95 now. So I paid $24, and I probably made at least a few $1,000s from the knowledge in these books. On selling Damon's record alone, I've made over almost $2,000. So
that's awesome
for our company and Damon, and that gets split up amongst a bunch of different places. But I want to urge you to read this one, because this is the crux of it all. If you know how to build a sales funnel online, and you know how to get traffic, which is Traffic Secrets is the third book in this trilogy, that's fine. But if you don't have an attractive character, or you don't have any kind of movement, like people behind you, it doesn't matter.
I couldn't agree more.
It really doesn't matter. Like if I wasn't doing the things that I'm doing outside of our business, or if Damon wasn't doing the things that he's doing outside of our business, or if Jelani wasn't doing the things that he does outside of his business, nobody would care. Nobody would care. You'd be sitting at home. Most people that don't do much are sitting at home, and that lifestyle is not very attractive to most people.
Precisely.
I can achieve that. Like anybody can achieve that.
That's why you're here, because you're one of those people who looks for more. So
right.
If you want more, this is it. Yes. So real quick, I just want to give a brief introduction of what we're going to get into. So the essential section 1 is split into 3 parts, and the section is called Create Your Own Movement. It's split into 3 parts. Part number 1 is Becoming the Expert. Part 2 is the new opportunity, which is your offer, and part number 3 is the future-based cause, which is going to be your movement as it's presented. So getting right into part number 1, there's going to be 3 secrets in part number 1. Those secrets are finding your voice, teaching your frameworks, and the 3 core markets or desires. So we're going to get right into section 1, Becoming the Expert. And also, if y'all haven't followed us, what we've done is a side-by-side comparison of the 2 books throughout our review of the books. .com Secrets was the same way, but we're going to do that with Expert Secrets as well.
Yeah, so what you notice here, before we go too far into it, what you notice here is that, number 1, mine is paperback and Jelani's is hardback. Mine is 2 years old, so I got this in 2018. This is the updated version that came out in 2020. It's been updated with a lot of information. The framing is completely different, because when this was written, I don't think Russell had the idea to write a trilogy. He wrote .com Secrets, and basically all of the knowledge from the trilogy is in .com Secrets. But then he wrote Expert Secrets because knowing how to build a sales funnel without knowing how to build a movement is, like I said, is pretty ineffective. And then he realized, well, if I don't know how to drive traffic, even if I have a huge movement and I know how to build a sales funnel, if I don't know how to connect those two things, then I'm not going to make any money, or I'm not going to actually really have the movement that I want to have. So he wrote Traffic Secrets, and then he went back and updated them all. So a lot of the framing is a little different. In my book, the section number 1 is about creating your mass movement, but there's only 4 secrets. It's not multiple parts, and it only goes through the charismatic leader and attractive character, which I just mentioned, the cause, which is the future-based cause that Jelani talked about, the new opportunity, and the opportunity switch, which is all covered in Jelani section 1. And so we're going to really be referencing this one, because if you get it today, this is the book you're going to get. Hardback, nice frame, blue. I really love this. It's like the texture on this is pretty good too, but the texture on these books is really nice if you're a tactile person like me. But yeah,
and it looks excellent on the shelf, dude.
Yeah,
excellent on the shelf
with all 3 next to each other,
dude.
So that's the one you're gonna get. But I do like comparing the two, just to show you within a couple years how much has changed and how much Russell likes to update his information. So if you get into any of his funnels, you're gonna be pleased, I'm sure.
For sure. So section 1 introduction is essentially, to create a movement, you'll need an expert or a guide, a new opportunity, and a future-based cause, which is essentially how this whole thing is planned out. So as you introduce a new opportunity to your dream customers, you can also guide them up your value ladder and build your movement by helping them embrace a future-based cause. So in the previous book, it was essentially noted that if you have a common enemy with your dream customer, then you can throw rocks essentially at that concept. And, the common enemy being the concept. So once you introduce the future-based cause, it's important to take that new identity that your dream customer has gotten and then, take that and run with it. But so section 1, part 1 is becoming the expert. So before you even show them that identity, you have to become the expert yourself. So section 1 goes over a bunch of figures on how to essentially do that. It also references .com secrets, and it also one big thing that I liked from section 1 part 1 was that it showed the prolific index. And the prolific index, when it was illustrated,
what's that, Jelani?
Yeah, so essentially the prolific index in the book is the way you can measure the polarity versus the amount of money that people are investing into an idea versus how outlandish the idea is. So it's essentially lays it out really well for you in the book, but the paraphrase that I have is, I drew a couple graphs of it, and in the middle of the scale, if you can imagine, it's crazies on the outsides of the scale. And then a 1 notch in from the scale from both sides evenly is the prolific mark. And then in the middle is the mainstream. So crazy on the outside, mainstream in the middle, and prolific is between mainstream and crazy on each side. And the prolific zone is where you want to be in the ideas that are brought up in this section and in this book.
And if prolific is one of those words that you've heard but don't understand, prolific just means that you're able to create a lot of things. So like, I would consider my business partner Damon Davis to be prolific. He creates visual art, films, sculptures, music, poetry,
you name it, man.
Yeah, photography. Like, he does all of that. So someone or something that creates a lot of things is prolific. So that zone that he's talking about is where most of the creativity, where most of the action is happening.
Exactly. And in the book, it even has dollar signs identified with it. But also what I like is that there's another side of the polarity index that you can follow too, or the prolific index. The polarity there's a polarity scale on that index, which is interesting. So like you have crazy, prolific, mainstream in the middle. Then with that in the y-axis, pretty much you have polarity. So from the outside in, it's pretty symmetrical, but it starts at the end of the crazy scale on each end. The polarity is at no investment, because if the idea is too crazy, nobody's going to want to invest in it because they think it's too risky. But as you go closer to the middle from each side of that scale to the prolific section, the polarity in investment goes up, because if you're prolific, then you're worth investing in because it's a safer investment. And also you're probably prolific for reasons that, you know, benefit someone who would like to invest. So that's the idea there. And then from the prolific section to the mainstream section, the polarity goes back down to about where it was for the crazy, because it's mainstream and nobody's wanting to invest in it because it's already out. It's already in the seas. Everybody knows. So I mean, they figure it's a dried up opportunity, or a Red Sea, if you will, which will be some reference later on too.
Blue Sea and Red Sea, or Blue Ocean and Red Ocean.
That was my favorite parts of part 1, section 1, really.
Yeah, and so I have some notes from my old book, and a lot of these pertain to what you're talking about too. And I remember reading. So your book talks about becoming the expert, and then mine talked about the charismatic leader has studied to become better and wants to teach others how. So regardless of the market that you're in, which you're talking about the oceans, the charismatic leader or the expert is the person that goes and learns and then teaches other people. So it's not like it's some kind of scam or anything like that. You're literally going and finding information that helps you or works for you, and then you try to provide that to other people that need it.
Exactly right.
And here it talks about the 3 questions, and I really like these. Question 1, would people in this submarket be excited about the new opportunity I'm presenting in my niche? Question 2, are the people in this market irrationally passionate? And that's really important, because think about sports fanatics, you know, especially like CrossFit, or people that are into music, that are really into music. They're really irrationally passionate sometimes, especially for their favorite stars or favorite celebrities. They will go nuts over these people, or like pass out or cry, things like that. So, you know, again, we're working on basic psychology here, but then the third question goes into, are these people willing and able to spend money on your product? It says information because my product is an information product, but on your product or service. And then it says, who do you need to become a leader, become an attractive character, and live the life your audience wishes they could live? Rule 2, maintain absolute certainty. Rule number 3, don't be boring. And that goes into the polarity scale on that index that you were talking about, the prolific index. Rule 4, learn how to use persuasion. And it says, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies. And I noticed that you said that. And every really good guru or leader does that. Just thinking about it. Rule number 5, care a lot, and that's in all caps. Rule number 6, offer them value from their perceived relationship with you. So they may not have a direct relationship with either one of us. You may not have a direct relationship with either one of us, but we're providing you value through the relationship that we have digitally, and just the relationship that we have in the thought that we wanted to go collect this information and then give it to you, the people that are savvy enough to find this and consume it.
Precisely, man. Well said. So secret number 2 is teaching your frameworks, as you mentioned, going out learning and things like that. Secret number 3 is the 3 core markets or desires. So secret number 3 is neat because it covers the 3. So it says every product or service fits into one of the 3 core desires or markets. Once the market gets saturated, sub-markets are created. now the core markets and sub-markets have both become red ocean. So, yeah, just as we mentioned, as soon as that gets so popular, then, it's going to be a red ocean where you don't want to go in them waters because the dinner's already gone.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about sharks in an ocean eating, if you're in a market that all the sharks are already there, think about Shark Tank. Tank. I love watching that show because the ideas are very interesting to watch, and just how the sharks decide on what to invest in. But anyway,
agreed.
When we're thinking about business, a lot of times we think about that in terms of being in shark infested waters.
Mm-hmm.
And so every business is another shark, right? So if there's a lot of fish in the ocean, hopefully, which is the consumers, then the sharks are eating. But after they eat, what's left? Carcasses and blood,
mm-hmm.
right? So we consider a space where there's not a lot of people doing your business to be a blue ocean, and a space where everybody is doing your business. Like pretty much everybody has a form of your business. I think about fast food now.
Yep.
Because you go to Pizza Hut, but you can still get sandwiches and pasta and salad and burgers,
anything
and
that you
sandwiches.
Can get
anywhere else. And so all of those restaurants have now become their own red ocean in themselves. And if you start your own, good luck. Starting a restaurant is not the move. If you're really trying to make money fast. But it's a red ocean, so all these sharks are eating, and there's just all these carcasses in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's sort of a morbid take on
analogy.
It, but that's basically what they're saying in that regard. I don't look at you as sharks or you as fish to be eaten, but in the traditional sense of business, that's what they're talking about in red ocean versus blue ocean.
Sure. I'm glad you described that. Thank you. I mean, because, it makes it a little bit easier to digest. But essentially, the last part of the section 1, and then we'll get into section 2 here in a minute. We'll take a break before we get into section 2. But if you haven't created your own category yet, you can sell to the frustrated customers in your submarkets. So, it also mentions instead of joining someone else's blue niche, too, after you find the blue ones, and jumping onto it would be easy, sure. But sometimes you can just cater to the frustrated people in any niche that you have out there. So that's something to consider as well when considering, where the markets, the sub-markets, and the niche markets lie.
Yeah, and you should always look for the niche, because basically all of the three categories that we're talking about are health, wealth, and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just think about those things, everyone is concerned with one of those things at any given point. So the people that have been in those businesses at the top level can maybe claim to be in the market of health, wealth, or relationships. But if you're new to it and you're not a giant in the game, then you need to diversify. You need to specialize. So if I'm in health, for instance, I'm not just in health, I'm in fitness, right? There's a difference between just health, because health could be medicine or vitamins or being a doctor, or there's a lot of things within health. So within health, I'm in fitness. But within fitness, that's also a red ocean. So I need to further specialize, and maybe I'm into CrossFit. And that's a specialization. But as I'm talking about this, you're probably noticing, CrossFit's a pretty red ocean at this point too. So you need to think about how you can even further specialize. I want to do CrossFit for women who just had a baby. And then that will help you find the people that you're looking for a lot easier. If you're trying to market to everybody, you're marketing to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you market to women that like CrossFit, that just had a baby, there's maybe, 100,000 of them in the world. But they all probably want exactly what you're offering, because it's offered directly to that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so they probably have the same problems,
mm-hmm.
issues that you've had and that you're trying to solve. And so if you're not doing that, then you're probably going to flounder around like a fish and get eaten by the other businesses at the end of the day. You have to specialize. Drill down on your niche as far as possible. FarFetched is very niche. But that's why we succeed. You know, if we were just trying to do what's on the radio musically, we just get drowned out by everybody else that's on the radio or that's trying to do what's on the radio. So really having a niche and even a sub niche within your core market is really key these days.
Yeah, man. So we're going to get into part 2, which covers a new opportunity, which is your offer. And part 2 starts on secret number 4. So we'll be right back.
Be right back.